On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're going to talk about the Ring of Honor. Carolina Panthers Ring of Honor. When is the next time we're going to add someone, folks? How many will we add? Before we get into today's content, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, folks, it doesn't cost anything. Please do so. Leave me some comments. I love the positive comments. I love the little bit of intrigue with some disagreements as well. It's very healthy, especially makes you kind of think again on some of your reasoning and some of the key points you might bring up, and people might challenge that and make you think again on what your thoughts are on a certain topic. Pound that like button. By all means, folks, please hit the bell notification so you can be notified of future content like what's in today's video on the Panthers. All right, I got thinking about it last year, folks. Kind of went back a year ago and thought to myself, it was kind of a nice touch by David Tepper, and long overdue, that the Carolina Panthers would include people in the Ring of Honor. You know, we always had Sam Mills as far as a player, and that was it. I think we had a former general manager, team president, Mike McCormick. But really looking at player-wise, it was Sam Mills. So I had to sit back and think it was long overdue, and because it was a good way to gap the bridge that had been created between Steve Smith and the team when Dave Gettleman ended up cutting him and releasing him, and he went on to play with Baltimore in the famous blood and guts game that he played against the Panthers. So we bring Steve Smith back in last year as one of the 4 inducted into the Ring of Honor, along with his sidekick, Jake Delhomme. Of course, probably our best offensive lineman ever, Jordan Gross. And Wesley Walls, who was very good wide receiver, was actually tight end, but kind of a tight end possession receiver, not the old type of tight end, the new age tight end being a pass catching tight end, Wesley Walls. So first thing, I got a list of 10 people, and I'm going to kind of go work my way from 10 on down. Now, some of these people, you might not agree with my list, but remember, it's going to be depending, a lot of this is going to depend on timing, folks. It really is. So the first thing we really need to look at is when is the next time we're probably going to add someone. I don't think we're definitely not adding anybody this year in 2021, or we'd already heard about it. I believe if we were to add someone every year, you would only be adding one a year, because we kind of water it down. Even if you only did it 5 straight years, but you included like 3 people every year, it'd be a little too much. So I think the next time we're looking at it is probably next year in 2022. And it possibly could be 2023. Remember, the longer you hold out, I mean, the anticipation and intrigue's there. But let's say we go 2023 instead of 2022. It kind of builds that anticipation, and it makes it a little bit more special. I look at Christmas, folks. It comes once a year. We all love the presents and the shopping. I mean, sometimes it's a little hectic. If we had Christmas every 6 months, especially when you had to shop for it, it seemed like you'd never get a break. So having it once a year, and could you imagine if we only had Christmas like once every 5 years? People would explode with excitement, because it's like, wow, it would really be a big deal. So that once a year for Christmas, I'm thinking every 2 to 3 years. So I'm going to say the earliest we'll probably expand this Ring of Honor is 2022. Possibly no later than 2023, but that's just my opinion. Now, how many? I feel like if we go 2022 or even 2023, we're going to probably add 3. I don't think we're going to add 4 like we did last time. And since we didn't add anybody this year, I think we'll definitely do more than 1. So I think it's going to be between 2 and 3. And I think 3 is a fair number, being that we waited so long before we added these last 4, and now we've only got 5 players in the Ring of Honor. So in saying this, folks, now we're going to get down to the players. Now, number 10 on my list, and I don't know if he'll ever make it. I included it because of the position, and that's Jonathan Stewart. By far, if the Carolina Panthers stop playing today, no matter how well McCaffrey has performed, and a lot of people are going to think he's the best back we've ever had, longevity-wise, if McCaffrey was finished his career right now, you still have to say Jonathan Stewart was the best running back we had in history. Now, like I said, McCaffrey plays for this franchise. Throughout this contract, he plays 4 or 5 years, and he plays at a high level. He's probably going to surpass Jonathan Stewart. Touchdowns, rushing yards. Definitely the best pass catching running back we've ever had thus far. So we can't really have that debate yet. And I definitely think that Jonathan Stewart was better than D'Angelo Williams, not just in play but in attitude. So he's number 10 on the list. I don't think we'll see him. Not to rule him out. He was just an all-around great Panther, though. And number 9 is still playing, and there's controversy with number 9 because number 9 is none other than Cam Newton. We definitely can't add Cam Newton right now because he's still playing for the Patriots. And I think we'd have to have him, let's just say this was his last year. There's a good chance it could be his last year. But Cam could surprise, or Cam could get picked up by another team if New England doesn't keep him, and he could still play probably legitimately good football. And if he wanted to serve as a backup, he could probably extend his career for 5-6 years. But let's just say when Cam retires and is done, I think it's going to take some time, maybe even more time than the Steve Smith bridge did, because Cam Newton gave everything to this franchise. In many people's eyes was the best player this franchise ever had. And he gave everything to this organization. And I hate the way it ended, and I think that's the only mistake I've seen how the new regime with Dave Tepper was handling what happened with Cam Newton. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't time for Cam to go, because I know Cam didn't think it was. But maybe with the injuries and the way he was handled by Hurney, Gettleman, and particularly Ron Rivera, it was time. But I've got Cam Newton number 9, and it's just because he hasn't retired and because we're going to have to put some time in between his playing career and kind of healing from the wounds of how he left this franchise. All right, number 8. Number 8 is Greg Olsen, and I think Olsen will be in this ring. Excuse me. But it's going to be some time. He just retired. I don't think it's going to be, 5-6 years from now, definitely think he's ready. And remember, he didn't play his whole career here. I'm not even worried about the Seattle year, but he did start in Chicago, and that's why you might have a couple people ahead of him. Number 7, Thomas Davis. Now, TD is a shoo-in. There's no doubt in my mind that Thomas Davis is going to be in this Ring of Honor. I wouldn't be surprised if one day the man doesn't have a statue out front. However, even though he lives up true to the Sam Mills keep pounding motto, Thomas Davis did just retire this past year. He did retire a Panther. I just think we're really, even if we waited till like 2023 and people say could go in, even though he's probably most deservedly good to go in, I think we still need to put a couple more years between his retirement and if letting a couple other people who played, whose career might not have been quite as good as Thomas Davis, but still had, honorary careers for the Panthers. Number 6 has been retired for a while. Was a great Panther, played his whole career here, and I think he's definitely somebody who deserves in the Ring of Honor, but was he good enough? And that's none other than the defensive end we drafted from Nebraska early on that played for us in Super Bowl 38, Mike Rucker. Now, Mike Rucker has been a hell of a player for the Panthers over the years. I just, the only thing that's going to knock him getting in this Ring of Honor is when you start matching him up with other players who played here. We go on later on if we have mediocre players or mediocre teams and we increase this Ring of Honor by 10, sure, he's going to get in. But if we keep having the likes of Kuechly and Cam over the years and, Olsen and other people, it's going to be different. All right. Next on the list will be number 5, and that's Charles Johnson. Now, I think if Mike Rucker gets in, Charles Johnson's definitely getting in. And, without a doubt in my mind, when we look at this, I'm thinking here that Charles Johnson, big money, played his whole career for the Panthers. He was definitely a true Panther from the University of Georgia. He could get on this list. He's second all-time in sacks for the Panthers, folks. But what's going to keep him out right now is just some guys ahead of him who probably were a little bit better. And that's going to be the key. And then the longer we wait, you're going to have people like Thomas Davis, who's, like I said, number 7 on this list, because of how long he played and how good he was and just what he meant to the organization. Even a guy like Greg Olsen or Cam Newton could bypass a guy like Charles Johnson. Now, I do think Charles Johnson can go in before Mike Rucker, but I think he's still waiting a little bit of time out before he would get in, if he does get in at all. Okay. Now, looking at number 4. Number 4, I really had originally at number 3, folks. This is where we really get into people that probably right now deserve to get in. The only reason why I have this person at number 4 and number 3 is because of his position. Played for the most games in Panther history. Was a key cog in our teams that we did over the years. And that's none other than the kicker from Georgia, John Kasay. John Kasay was on the expansion team. I mean, he played in Super Bowl 38. Of course, we know about his botched kick out of bounds in the Super Bowl that kind of helped put New England in the driver's seat to win that game. But the only thing I would see keeping John Kasay out is the longer it goes on without him in it, and you're getting people like, Thomas Davis and Greg Olsen and Cam Newton, the positions they played and the amount of just super play for the team is going to bypass John Kasay. But man, if there's ever a specialist who deserved to be on somebody's Ring of Honor, it's John Kasay. And I just moved him from the list. I had to really get some conviction. And I think he's just going to miss the cut. Now, if it comes out next year, we're adding 3 and he's one of them, I'm happy for him. I won't have any qualms about it. I think the only qualms people are going to have is that he's a kicker. Now, number 3. And here's the guys I think in 2022 or 2023, whenever we add 2 or 3 guys, in this Ring of Honor, he's definitely getting in. And that's a guy who's played his whole career for the Panthers, best safety we ever had, from the University of Nebraska, played with us in Super Bowl 38, Mike Minter. This guy, man, was such a great player for us. And there's other guys in the defensive backfield. I never even put Chris Gamble on the list. I could. But Mike Minter is probably the best secondary player we've had. The longevity, amount of games. I think he had over 800 tackles in his career for the Panthers. Just an incredible player. And I feel Mike Minter deserves, and there's a small chance if we only had 2 guys, these other 2 guys I got are ahead of him. So we'll have to go from there. Number 2 on the list is none other than Luke Kuechly. I know some people are going to argue, well, he just retired. Well, he retired a year before Thomas Davis. And he also retired a year before Greg Olsen. And he also retired, and Cam Newton's still playing. But probably the greatest defensive player we had in franchise history. Remember, he's number 2 all-time in tackles, folks, and he was only like 14 behind Thomas Davis. But Thomas Davis played 18 years and played 16 for us. And Kuechly only played half that. He played 8 years for the Panthers. And if he'd only just played one more, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, if he only played 2 or 3 more games, he would have surpassed Thomas Davis and had the most tackles in Panther history. He said he was 14 or less. It might have even only been 6 or 8 tackles less than Thomas Davis. But Luke Kuechly, the only reason why he's not in there right now is he just retired 2 years ago, a year before last. But I definitely think he is someone that is going to be in this Ring of Honor, the next time we do it, and he deserves it. But the number 1 person, folks, before John Kasay, the kicker, before Mike Minter, the safety, before Luke Kuechly, before any of these guys, the number 1 guy that I see coming up next, who retired 2 years ago, the year before Kuechly, out of the University of North Carolina product. He played with the Panthers, went to the Bears, went to the Packers, came back to the Panthers. Great defensive end, 4th all-time in sacks, only a half a sack behind number 3 in NFL history, but none other than the number 2 all-time pick for the Panthers. And then I want to say it was a 2001-2002 draft, Julius Peppers. And Julius Peppers, in my opinion, without a doubt, is the next Carolina Panther that will go in the Ring of Honor. And folks, even if you don't think he's the next one to go, if we add 3 guys, he's definitely one of the 3 getting in. So folks, what do you think? Who would you put on your list to go into Ring of Honor next? When do you think? Let me know when you think that'll happen. 2022? 2023? Do you think it'll be longer than that? How many guys do you think we'll put in? Who do you think doesn't deserve? Who do you think maybe I'd put on this list that does deserve the recognition? But Make sure that you pound that like button, leave me some comments, hit that bell notification to be notified of other content like what's in today's video. And by all means, folks, it doesn't cost anything. Subscribe. And we'll see you next time on another edition of Carolina Sports Guy.